Kill me, Your Majesty.
Do you believe?
My fucking conditioned brain.
Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host Jake, and with me as always my good co-host Ian.
Hello, I am Ian.
And joining us as per usual is my other incredible co-host Mud. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jake. How are you today?
I'm also doing pretty great. It's why I complimented you for like the first time. What is this show, you might ask? Well, every other week we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner and determines one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other winners. And this week we're talking about the 25th Best Picture winner ever, which is of course none other than the hit classic, The Greatest Show on Earth. And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts, which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time. So Mud, take it away.
I've heard nothing about this movie.
I don't know if hit's the right word for that. So, The Greatest Show on Earth was released on December 10th, 1952 in New York and February 12th, 1952 in Los Angeles by Paramount Pictures.
Oh my God, Paramount.
I guess that second one was the general release because there's no other release listed. It was directed by Cecil B. DeMille, who also made The Ten Commandments from 1956, Cleopatra from 1934,
Okay.
and The King of Kings, which is a Jesus film from 1927.
Didn't all of those, except that last one, get nominated for Best Picture?
I think so.
I know Ten Commandments did, and I know Cleopatra did because we've talked about it.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Here's some fun facts about him. He's the narrator of this film.
Okay, cool.
So whenever you hear narration, it's him.
Nice.
And he also appeared in Sunset Boulevard as himself.
Yes, he did. I love that movie.
Yeah. Let's get on to the critical consensus. So the film has a 6.6 out of 10 IMDb, 48% Rotten Tomato critics, 52% Rotten Tomato audience, and 48 Metacritic.
More
Okay.
like the worst show
That's
on Earth.
like
What the
terrible. Holy shit.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
what's going on?
It's actually got terrible reviews.
I was debating, not to interrupt the facts, but I was debating making a joke like, if this isn't the best movie ever, I'm giving it a 0.
I said that last.
I said that in the car.
Right, because it says it's the greatest show on Earth.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're describing it as a dumpster fire.
False advertising.
During my research, what I've come across is the general consensus is this is one of the least deserving Best Picture winners ever.
No.
So, let's
What
get
do you
into
mean, oh no? Yeah, we love bad movies here.
Oh, yeah, American in Paris, buddy?
So, let's move on. Betty Hutton is our lead actress. She was also in the film Annie, Get Your Gun, which is one of her most famous roles. And the reason I wanted to plug that is because when she was little, this is a fun fact about her family was on the run from the law a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Like, moved around running from police.
Holy crap.
That's a cool life.
Yeah.
That is a life.
Cornel Wilde, born Cornel Lejos Weiss,
Cool.
is in this. Some other works he was in was 1945's 1001 Nights as Aladdin. I want to preface Aladdin, the Middle Eastern character played by Cornel Lejos Weiss.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
no.
Yep.
Fuck off.
It's all par for the course.
Side tangent fun fact, Nina Falk.
What?
Nina Falk from American Parent.
Oh, yeah, Nina
She
Falk.
was in 1001 Nights as quote-unquote harem girl.
Oh, hot.
Yeah.
That's why they named her that.
But back to Cornel Wilde, he qualified for the fencing team for the 1936 Summer Olympic Games. The United States team, but he quit the team before the games in order to take a role in theater.
I'm sorry, what Olympic sport was this man involved
Fencing.
in? Oh, cool.
Yep. He qualified for the U.S. team, but he quit to do theater. Not just acting, but like theater.
Bro, imagine quitting the Olympics to do Macbeth or some shit.
He did.
Dumbass.
Dude,
I'm
would
not even
stick with
joking.
fencing.
He quit to do like a Shakespeare play with oh my god, who made Laurence Olivier.
That's
I'm
so
not even
fucking
kidding.
stupid.
I'm not even joking, and I think it was Macbeth.
And you know what's funny too? He also chose the film The Greatest Show on Earth, which is a non-deserving Best Picture, allegedly.
There's absolutely no... Like, the Olympics, that's something that not every human can do. Any human can be in a fucking play.
Now, hold on. Well, okay, yeah. Let's keep going.
Okay. And finally, our last actor I wanted to bring up is Charlton Heston.
Yeah!
baby!
We love Charlton Heston
I
here.
didn't even know this.
Known for Ben-Hur, Planet of the Apes, and of course Soylent Green.
Yeah.
He was also the 5-term president of the National Rifle Association from 1998 to 2003.
Oh my god.
Just random fun fact.
I did also know that. That's a fun fact that I did know.
Yeah. So, fun facts about the movie at large. The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus's 1951's troupe appears in the film with its complements of 1,400 people, hundreds of animals, 60 railroad cars of equipment and tents, and the actors had to learn respective roles in the circus for their acts.
Okay.
So like they actually perform the acts we're going to see them perform.
May I ask a question? Is this going to be like the Hugh Jackman movie but bad?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the Hugh Jackman film. I like it.
Yeah, but bad.
But bad. All right, let's go.
And
So
also,
bad.
speaking of but bad, there's 4 writing credits on this film.
Oh my god.
The more writers, the better a
Frederick-
film gets.
Frederick M. Frank,
Mhm.
Theodore St. John, Frank Cabot, and Barre Lyndon.
I love films that just it's so good you can't have just one writer on it. You need like a writer's room of
You need
fucking
at
Alex
least
Kurtzman
7 dudes.
and fucking Akiva Goldsman. Get them all in there.
So keeping on a roll with general fun facts, here's some fun facts about the 1952 Oscar ceremony.
I love this.
Frederick March, who was Al in The Best Years of Our Lives, was the host this year, or one of the
Oh,
hosts.
that's awesome.
Yep. DeMille took home the Irving G. Thalberg Ceremonial Award. Ronald Reagan was the announcer for the event.
Yeah, 'cause
The
he was
actor.
the Screen Actors Guild guy.
Yep.
At that time.
This was the first Academy Award to be broadcast on television, and
Oh,
it had
sick.
an alleged runtime from 10:30 p.m. to 12:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Allegedly. That's
How-
less than 2 hours.
No way. I'm sorry. The Oscars going less than 6 hours?
I know. So, let's get on to the awards ceremony. Frederick M. Frank, Theodore St. John, and Frank Cabot took home Best Story. Anne Bawkins was nominated for Best Film Editing. She had actually previously won for Northwest Mounted Police in 1940.
Okay.
Returning face Edith Head, who was All About Eve's costume designer,
Mm-hmm.
along with Dorothy Jenkins and Miles White, were nominated for Best Costume Design, Color. Side tangent, Edith was also nominated for Best Costume Department, Black and White, for Carrie.
For
Not The Carrie, but a film called Carrie.
Yeah, Jake, I don't know if the book was out yet.
As did Dorothy. Dorothy Jenkins also got a nom for Best Costume Production, Black and White, for My Cousin Rachel, prequel to My Cousin Vinny.
right.
Shut up.
And Cecil lost Best Director to John Ford for The Quiet Man. This was John Ford's 4th Best Picture win, a record which is still unbeaten. For context, William Wyler and Frank Capra, the other 2 fucking chads of this time,
Of
only
course.
have 3 each.
Damn.
John Ford directed How Green Was My Valley.
With frickin' Frank Capra tearing the show up in the 30s, I imagined that he would have some kind of record, but I guess he's the second best. Okay.
Yes, tied for second best.
Not bad.
As for Best Picture, it beat Moulin Rouge,
Okay.
Ivanhoe, The Quiet Man, and infamously, it beat High Noon. This is considered one of the greatest upsets in Oscar history, and has cemented The Greatest Show on Earth being considered one of the most undeserving Best Picture winners. More on that after we watch the film, because I don't
Okay.
want to spoil anything.
All right.
And finally, our Mary Pickford fact.
Yes.
This year, Mary Pickford presented the Best Picture winner award.
She did not.
She did.
That's
Oh.
awesome. Good for
Mhm.
her.
She presented it to this.
Oh boy.
That's amazing. Of all the frickin' ones.
That's a good fun fact. For
Well,
this one.
I mean, that is what a racist deserves, so there you go.
We love Mary Pickford, but we will not condone her history.
At all, ever.
You're
so, yeah.
allowed to love and hate Mary Pickford.
We have learned to love and hate Mary Pickford.
At the same time.
So yeah, guys, I am actually actively not looking forward to this.
Same.
Guys, this is supposed to be the greatest show. You know what? Maybe this film's the second greatest show on Earth because hot quality content exists.
Right. But it's 2.5 hours long, man. It's not even fast. It's going to take so much time to get
Are
to
you
this.
guys ready for
film.
the Hugh Jackman film, The Greatest Showman?
All right, we're back.
We are back, baby. We're in there just like swimwear. We have just watched the hit 1952 classic, The Greatest Show on Earth.
What
How
a
do we
fucking
feel?
lie that is.
I know. Oh my god.
The greatest show on Earth.
I'm glad it was
Why?
like.
What the fuck? I'm sad.
I'm glad it was, what, 2.5 hours
No,
long?
I'm not glad. I'm glad that you foreshadowed saying that it probably sucks, and now I'm aware of it, as opposed to like having my hypes just crushed. I had no hype. For
Like
this.
Rebecca?
Like Rebecca. That's a fucking Hitchcock classic Best Picture. Of course, I'm gonna be hyped for that.
100% Rotten Tomatoes.
100%.
Ass.
Can we
Yeah.
talk about something real quick, man?
What's up?
I just want to jump right into this because I
Uh-oh.
don't want to spend any extra time on
Let's
this movie.
fucking, let's just go
Because
right into
this,
it.
This was 2.5 hours of my life that I'm not getting back.
Yep.
I think this one was really, really bad because the editing is the worst I've ever seen.
The editing was awful.
It got nominated for best editing.
Hey,
I
okay.
know.
So I'm just gonna preface with, man, do I hate editing in movies? Because like an editing for me can make or break a film. Like if Suicide Squad was edited competently, it'd at least be a movie. Like the bad one, not the bad one.
Fucking got him.
Like it's like, whoa, Joker, whoa, 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 like fucking garbage. This makes that look like Citizen Kane. Like I can't even begin to describe how bad the editing is.
There were
Every
shots.
single edit and cut and green screen is so obvious and bad. It uses screen wipes 50 billion times in one scene. It uses terrible hard cuts that the characters aren't at the same spots. The green screen is terrible. The color grading is awful because it was all oversaturated. And when it's oversaturated, there's just like green. So the entire movie was just green, basically.
The greenest show on
Like,
earth.
Every single thing I looked at hurt my eyes for most of this movie. I actually kind of have a headache after this one. Like, this film's not pleasing to watch visually. The audio is whatever. The audio editing's terrible, actually.
Can I build on that for a second?
Like, yeah, go ahead. I don't want to talk.
Between shots, like, you know, in dialogue, you'd have a close up on a character, and then you'd cut to like a medium shot of a couple characters, and you could hear the background noise of the film changing, like the air of the room changing. If that makes sense.
And
for
you know what's
the audience
funny?
at home.
It wasn't during dialogue. You could easily edit it out with like barely any processing power. And I know like 50s editing, but you can still do it. You know, like it's within your power. And there are so many things where it's like it'll be one scene where there's two guys in a backdrop and it's very obviously green screened, and it'll cut to a shot of them actually on that set location and then back to the green screen shot. So they're intersplicing Justice League 2017 style, second DCU reference, like where they're reshooting the exact same scenes and they're just so jarring of shifts between these two shots.
There's insert green screen reaction shots
I know.
in this film, and it's like, this is a waste of time.
A waste of the 2.5 hours.
Within the 2.5 hours, it's an even bigger waste. But like, you know, you'd have the girl talking from on the elephant, Angel, and then it would cut to like a wide of her in the background, and you can hear like the air pressure in the recording change.
Yep.
Like I don't know how to describe it because it's something if you heard it you would understand exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm sure that our audience has at least a vague understanding of like room temp background noise in filmmaking.
It's like if I was humming the entire time. And then
just super subtly, so you don't even notice.
And then it cut to like a close up of Jake, and I was going like really loud. You know what I mean?
It's like there's a subtle hum in the background, just like, and then it
first-
cuts out, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, there's a noise missing that was there a second ago.
Yeah, it's just abysmal.
The first note I took was, "Oh hell yeah, it's in color. I'm so happy," or whatever.
I would have preferred it if it was in black and white.
I don't care.
I
don't
disagree
care either
with
way.
that, but nothing about this movie changes anything.
Bro, I can't watch this without being in pain. A black and white movie would not have caused my brain as much pain as watching this color movie.
Do you guys remember the very beginning of the film when it's like that documentary style intro with the director like explaining how
Yep.
great the circus is, and that one dude just fucking eats it?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I forgot that was the first note I wrote was just fuck that guy.
Yeah. Well, the first note that I note was there are too many screen wipes.
Yeah.
There are an excessive amount of screen nights. The intro to this film is like narration from the director, as we've talked about, Cecil, explaining like the power of the circus and how
Yep.
how they move all their equipment, because it's a lot of manpower, and it's like,
Sure.
this is a documentary.
Yep.
You're explaining how the Ringling Brothers like does their job, and they do that several times throughout the film. They have one at the very beginning of the beginning of the season. This is how all the acts come together. Then they have one about putting the big top up. Then they have one about putting the big top
Yep.
down, and then they have one about the animals.
Let me elevate that point. Every single ounce of narration was needless information.
It's a
Because we were
different
watching
movie.
it 2 for 1.
Even still, the narration was about how to build a tent for 8 minutes. I don't give a fuck.
None of the main characters are any of the staff.
Like
like
none
that.
of that
None of them
is
are the
relevant.
stagehands.
It's not like it's brought up in the plot later. None of it comes back. It's just documentary information.
You could have used that 8 minutes to establish what Sebastian does before his first performance.
Right.
They
No.
keep hyping up the great Sebastian, the great Sebastian.
I know,
I think maybe there's an off chance we missed like a quick throwaway line of dialogue, but given the importance of Sebastian to the film and in relation to Holly, I really am annoyed that when Holly found out Sebastian was coming on, she didn't say something like, "You're trying to replace me," because they're both trapeze artists.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one line explaining that he is a trapeze artist, it's so quick that we didn't catch it.
Yep.
Because, you know, we're writing down notes like, oh, I got to write that down. So for a second, our focus isn't entirely on the film.
But that's still like that.
We don't pause when we're watching it because this movie's 2.5 hours.
Also,
We
like
paused the good ones.
the thing is, if you're making this movie and something integral like that is a half-second quick throwaway, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's not our as an audience's fault. That's
Like,
your fault for not making that clear.
We did not know that Sebastian was a trapeze artist until
No.
he started to perform.
Right.
That is not clearly conveyed to the audience at all, which is a problem because one of the many conflicts in this film is Sebastian and Holly's rivalry that does not get resolved, but it's over the fact that they're both trapeze artists. At first, it seems like Holly's just upset that he's taking the center ring
Yeah.
of the circus, but it's like, I don't even know what this fucking guy does.
Mud, it's funny that you're talking about how the script sucks because the script sucks.
The script does, in
So,
fact, suck.
For one, the thing that you're
It
talking
won
about,
Best Story.
I'm gonna say right now, I want to save the weird love triangle square shit.
It's
to
a
later.
rhombus.
I want to save that for later. I want to talk about how fucking criminally boring this movie is for like most of it.
All of it.
Yep.
Actually, that's not true.
There's
two
one good
interesting-
plot,
There's one good plot, and it's with
It's
buttons.
Buttons. but it's not enough of the movie. I'm not gonna give it credit for being interesting.
And that being said, I don't think Buttons could have carried this kind of film.
Fucking the worst part for me in the entire script is I can't read my notes.
Sorry.
How much of a break it takes from the actual movie, even not even just the narration stuff. Like I feel like there's so many scenes where Charlton Heston is just like talking at people. He's not even talking to them. He's talking at them because they're not
Yes.
important.
Aggressively.
Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston.
That's getting cut. Keep going.
Charlton Heston is the only good actor in this movie for one, and for two, like he just talks at people because no one else in this movie matters except like the main 4 people or 5 people.
I think
and, like-
James Stewart playing Buttons was pretty good.
Yeah, he's 5.
I-
It's like him, Holly, Sebastian the Crab,
Angel.
barely Angel, and Buttons.
I agree with the sentiment that it feels like they barely wrote a story for this traveling show just to show off some cool circus
It's
performances.
straight up.
But
If
then they
you
don't.
take all of the information that this movie has plot relevant wise, whether I like it or not, it's maybe an hour long.
Yeah, I love how the story goes on complete pause every 5 minutes.
Because every single act in the circus, no information.
No, nothing.
The acts.
Except the trapeze stuff to barely push a plot.
Yeah.
And then everything surrounding that is useless fluff.
I want to put a pin in the trapeze performances.
Yeah, because
But
it's the
take-
Holly Sebastian stuff.
Take
yeah.
a real quick detour to talk about a film that this film can very easily be compared to, The Great Ziegfeld,
Yep.
which has come up a lot recently.
We mentioned
That
it
one's also
specifically for this
it's
one.
bad.
Can
Don't
we
get
talk
me wrong.
about Emile Zola again?
No.
We brought it up
Please,
twice.
God.
We brought it up the last 2 episodes. We need to talk about Emile Zola.
We don't need to
We
talk
don't.
about Emile Zola.
We don't.
Shut the
It's a
fuck.
forgettable movie.
It really is.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm already
Ian.
there.
Okay, my point is that in the Great Ziegfeld, he makes a big deal about, you know, the show must go on. It's very similar. Ziegfeld
Yeah.
and Brad are very similar characters. At least in Ziegfeld, when the story goes on pause for 18 minutes, it's vaguely interesting to look at.
Yep.
In this film,
It's green.
not a single goddamn performance in this circus is remotely interesting. It's just animals walking around or like some person attached to a rope going fucking 80 miles an hour in a circle. the trapeze artistry. There's one scene where Sebastian and Holly are having like a dick measuring contest to see who's the better trapeze artist. And at first it's interesting because it's nice, these nice wide shots where like they have body doubles who are actually doing like real performances.
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, the camera slowly creeps in, and then like the trapeze bar is at the very bottom of the screen. You're like, that guy's definitely only like a foot off the ground.
Yep.
And then at the end, it's just bad green screen.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it gets less and less interesting.
it gets less interesting as it goes on, which
Right.
is stupid because the stunts they're doing should be more interesting. They pull up a chair and start bouncing on a chair on a trapeze beam. I don't know if anyone can actually do that,
But you can at least stage it safely.
You had 1,400 people from the actual Ringling Brothers Circus work on this film. You don't have 2 trapeze artists who actually have a couple weird pocket tricks. Like, if you want to make it a spectacle, make it a fucking spectacle, because the more you push in and kind of like just forget about the drop, which is the important part in trapeze work, the less interesting it becomes. And when it gets to Sebastian literally green screened on and I can see the fucking green screen, I'm like, oh, cool, this is fake. I don't care.
Yeah,
Right.
It establishes stakes and then immediately takes the stakes away when it zooms in.
Like the wide shots with the body doubles, I'm like, damn, that is an impressive thing to do.
Yeah.
I can't do that. This actual trapeze artist is very impressive to look at.
Yeah.
I get why somebody would be entertained by this. And then it punches in.
Right. So to agree with almost everything you just said, yeah, no, the editing does kind of ruin the magic of it. But there is still a magic in there. Like, if you were to film a movie today with intense, crazy circus scenes, you would not have the same effect as this film because nobody would take normal actors and train them to do real 50-foot-high circus stuff like they did in a lot of these sequences, but not all these sequences.
There are body doubles in this movie, too.
Right, but there are also actors doing stuff.
Yeah.
And in this time period where you can clearly tell apart the green screen from the normal footage, that means you can clearly tell what footage is shot for real. And when the performers are doing crazy, real acrobatics, that's impressive to me.
It
is
is, but
amazing.
there's so few and far between this
They're
film.
few and far between. I agree. This movie is very bad and it doesn't show it in a very good way. But what is here that is the authentic footage, because it's super easy to tell, I think that's so cool.
Like that shot of Holly where she's transparent.
Oh my god!
Towards the end of the film, she's parading around town promoting the circus, and you can see through her whole body.
I wrote down, she's see-through.
I also wrote down she's see-through, though.
That was during the phase of the movie where it never ended, the eon at the end.
Yeah.
No, it's not me.
Eon.
I know.
Ethan?
One of the biggest issues that I had was, like, we've seen movies do green screen better prior to this. That one scene in The Lost Weekend, I hate to go back to it over and over again. With
a good movie.
With he's walking
when he's
down
walking
the street
forward.
and you can see all that. Like, yeah, it's screened in, but like it actually looks like he's having like a drunk fever trip almost.
Yeah, and
it's
it
really
works.
fucking interesting.
Also,
We've seen films in color that have good color balance and good color grading. Listen, as much as I didn't love An American in Paris,
The colors
the
were
colors
beautiful.
fucking slapped.
It was
This
beautiful.
movie is like, here's some green, bitch, the whole time. This film, looking at it, gave me a headache. Every single thing that we've seen in this film has been done better in a prior film.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
Ian's right.
Like the costuming, I don't hate the costuming by any means, but circus costumes are cheap, whatever you have lying around stuff. So it's not like super wonderful and amazing. The dance sequences and whatnot, we've gotten better dance sequences. We've gotten like even Another American in Paris, even the dance sequences in that, the staircase,
The tap.
yeah,
At least tap's
like,
interesting.
Not the staircase thing. The staircase thing was an American in
Ziegfeld.
Paris.
Ziegfeld
it?
was the staircase.
No, the other staircase, the Stairway to Paradise.
Oh,
yeah,
that's-
that was
that's
American
American.
Paris. That
Sorry, I thought you
scene
were
is
referring to
beautiful
Cake.
costuming and staging and framing and like dancing and choreography and like. Where's the scene in this movie that makes me go, wow, holy shit, they actually like did this in this way and like, guys, we saw 50 Allens applauding his own performance last movie.
Right.
And
Right.
this movie can't do one green screen effect.
That's true.
Not one. Every green screen looked bad.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Like, this film, for me, right now, I'm, like, looking at it, and if you said while we were watching this, imagine being alive in 1952 and liking movies, and then I went, no. And imagine doing what we do every year where we watch all the best picture winners.
Oh my
And
god.
you have to watch this fucking shit. And you're like, wow, this isn't going to win. And then it does. I think if we had now critics go back to the 1950s, the Screen Actors Guild would be defunct. And like the Emmys or something would be the actual awards.
So
Or the fucking, what's the TV one?
Emmys?
Golden Globes.
Golden Globes.
Oh, the Golden Globes. Yeah,
So
my bad.
Like, that would be the award. Because if I looked at the Oscars board and they picked this, they'd be the Golden Globes of now, to me.
So let me build on your discussion about why this film won. This is something I previewed earlier. This is straight from Wikipedia. Stanley Kramer, the producer of High Noon, which was the film that did not win despite everyone expecting it to, alleged that the film's Best Picture Oscar was due to the political climate in Hollywood in 1952. So, we're done with World War II, and we're in the run-up to the Cold War,
Yes.
which means we are in the era of...
The Red Scare. The Yellow Scare.
Red Scare, calm down.
Okay. Thank you.
Easy, Ian.
That one's before. My bad.
The Red Scare,
Yes.
which meant McCarthyism,
Yep.
blacklisting.
You're right.
Senator Joseph McCarthy was pursuing communists at the time, and DeMille, the director, was a staunch conservative Republican involved with the National Committee for a Free Europe. High Noon was produced by Carl Foreman as well, who would soon be Hollywood blacklisted. And one of the scriptwriters for Ivanhoe, Marguerite Roberts, was also blacklisted. So that's 2 of the 5 nominees
What are the other
tainted. The other 2 nominees,
two? One of them was like a play.
Moulin Rouge and The Quiet Man.
Moulin Rouge is a play.
So yeah,
That's
that was Kramer, Stanley Kramer's theory. He was a producer on High Noon.
okay.
Yeah.
That's that. You know what though? That makes a lot of sense because this sucked. Oh my god, Holly sucks.
Oh my god. What?
Brad, I love Sebastian.
You remember?
No, now I love you.
So you remember-
now the elephant? Like, oh my god.
You remember 2 films ago in All About Eve?
Yep.
Where like most of the main cast was female, and they were all very well written
Oh my god, they were
and
fantastic.
complex characters.
Yes.
And then remember one movie ago, An American in Paris, where the main girl was a bad person and she gets rewarded at the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And remember this film, The Greatest Show on Earth, where there's a love quadrant
Yep.
for no reason.
Yeah.
So what bothers me a lot in these films is the relationships are not well defined, because like Holly's expecting like marriage from Brad, and then Sebastian shows up and she's just like, "Oh, Sebastian, I just want to ride your cock all night." And then
verbatim.
pretty much. And then like Sebastian comes back and he's like, "I'm gonna marry you." We'll get to why Sebastian left in a second, which is another reason this movie sucks.
Oh yeah,
Um,
totally.
And then at the end of the film, Brad's like, "I think I'm in love with Holly," and it's like Sebastian was literally going to propose to her that night.
But now she's in love with him.
Yeah, but
and
then
him and Angel are fucking.
and then there's
around.
also Angel and Brad who are kind of in love, which pisses off the dude who runs the elephants, and that's a whole other.
Oh my
fucking
god, that
thing.
makes the train crash from Super 8 happen.
It
Yep.
does make the train crash from Super 8 happen. We are 0 for 2 on good train wrecks in films.
Dude, wait, what about when Judd blew up?
That is that
0 for 2.
over 2.
Judd explodes, dude. That shit's fucking 1
I-
for 2.
1 for 3.
That's our
yeah,
unstoppable.
shit.
For context, that's our unstoppable review.
Go check it out.
Unstoppable, comma, taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Denzel Washington saves the trains.
Twice in a row.
It's very funny. 2 times. How does he do it? Anyways, back on track. There's a lot of tangential things that happen in the plot that kind of spiral out from the main plot,
Yeah.
like the train crash from Super 8, because oh my fucking god, this movie just has it has too much going on, but at the same time, none of it's relevant. So like, there's like a nondescript business villain named Mr. Henderson.
Yep.
who's kind of in the film but not really.
He shows up at the beginning,
And he
at the
shows up
end.
at the end. And then, like, I guess the guy who was running the bad game worked for him, and they wanted to steal the money from the circus.
Henderson wasn't involved in that.
Was he not?
No, it was Angie Elephant Cuck
Yeah.
and
the guy running the defunct.
running the game.
But didn't that guy work for Mr. Henderson?
I don't think so.
Oh, who cares? The point is, even if they did, it's so tangentially related, and it can be cut and nothing changes.
Mud, this movie, I want to talk about this for a second. This movie feels like 3 different movies.
Yeah.
This movie feels like the love plot, the circus stuff, the documentary stuff.
Yes.
The documentary stuff is boring and doesn't relate to anything. The circus stuff sucks because while the green screen garbage and boring acts, and it barely relates to anything. And then there's the love plot, which is bad because the script is bad.
And
but
keeps getting on pause.
it also keeps getting paused by the other 2 plots that I don't like.
I wrote down too many plots.
It's
I
not
did.
even paused by the plots. It's one plot. Holy shit, a lot of circus stuff. B plot. Holy shit,
a
more
lot of
circus
documentary.
stuff. And then, narration. And then, hey, we're back to a little bit of Buttons being a murderer, maybe. More circus
The
acts.
only good thing in the film is the Buttons subplot, and even then, I don't think it would work on its own because he's a side character.
It would work better if you gave him more to do.
That's fair.
That being said, the way they used it in this dog shit is at least good.
It's the only
good.
redeeming quality.
If you add all of the Buttons being a crazy person together, is it what, 15, 20 minutes long?
No,
Less?
10.
10?
I'd say 15 at best.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because he saves Brad
Yeah.
life at the end.
Oh, let's talk about injury in this film. So there are
Bro.
no, I need to talk about this. There are 2 major injuries taken in this film. One by Sebastian, one by Brad. Sebastian plummets from his trapeze act after missing one of the bars a good 30 to 40 feet at least.
Yep.
Lands without a net on the ground.
Yep.
He comes back sometime later. His right arm is paralyzed. He is completely fine. Otherwise. He is completely fine otherwise.
Yep.
What the absolute fuck? Did
so,
like how? How is that exactly what happened to him? His right arm fully paralyzed, nothing else wrong. What
You
about your
can-
ribs? What about your hips, your knees? Anything that just slammed into the surface of the ground.
So I actually do want to. You can fall pretty far and be like remotely okay.
Yes, you are right.
My dad fell off a building when he did construction straight onto his back and only dislocated his shoulder and nothing else.
Oh yeah, I fell off a building when I fell off a shed when I was building it in my backyard, like a good story and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not 40 feet, but
yeah. I think his was 20, 25-ish.
how far Brad fell? I mean,
How
how
about
far?
my dad? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So Sebastian fell almost double that.
yeah. So, like, yeah, tough. But, like,
It's livable.
that one's livable, but he should have, the way he fell and how the movie was setting it up, even, there should have been more stake and more pain.
And more recovery from it.
Yeah, it was like a week.
It was.
barely.
I looked up. It was a couple months, but that's conveyed so poorly.
Oh, okay, that's conveyed very poorly.
Yeah.
Neat.
But more importantly, even a couple months later, he's completely fine aside from his arm. Like walking around, no long-term issues.
Yeah.
Like yes, you can land and survive.
I feel like if your arm's paralyzed, you'd at least have something else up. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Well,
That's the thing is like it's a weird bar to set of like, oh, his arm's paralyzed, but other than that, he's fine. I'm like, really? No issues with his ribs or like his torso? Because I
Yeah.
feel like that would transfer. Because if you land on your arm, your body then lands on your arm,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not landing with your arm like out, up,
Yeah.
away from your body. Because then your body's just gonna take the rest of the hit, even if your arm's the first thing to catch you.
Yep.
So that's terrible. And then at the end of the film, the 2 guys who got fired cause a train accident with probably the worst green screen. The dude is standing in the car driving it.
Yeah.
And probably some of the worst miniature work I have ever seen.
Yeah.
The train miniature is so egregiously terrible.
Yeah.
It's moving way too fast. I have a lot of background in understanding how to film miniatures from just a lot of content that I've watched. And what you need to do is you need to film miniatures at high speeds so you can then slow it down, because heavy vehicles like a train should not look like they are moving at the speed that the miniature is moving.
Yeah.
You film it at a high speed and then you can slow it down, and that creates the effect of weight and gravitas and scale.
It's how they did it with Pacific Rim. They slowed down the footage of the Jaegers.
Better yet, real miniature trains. That's how they did it in Thomas the Tank Engine in the early seasons.
Yeah.
They filmed at a higher speed, not necessarily at, high speeds of like 8,000 frames a second. At a higher speed, and then they would slow down the footage.
Mm-hmm.
So the train wreck is just awful. And again, the physics of a train wreck are tough because it's a lot of weight moving at a very high speed, but once it hits something, that ruptures back down the line. It's the same problem in Super 8. The train does not continue yeeting at 40 miles an hour.
Unless it derails and goes offside, it would do that.
It would, but that's...
Yeah, not how this happened.
Yeah, the second the train makes contact with something, that energy moves back down the train.
Yep.
That's how that works. Transfer of energy.
Yep.
Yeah, the train's moving really fast, and it's gonna keep going, but it would not just keep going.
Yeah. It buckles in the middle and then slams.
Yeah, the cars all slam into each other, and that creates tension in the joints, and cars start to come off the rails, but it doesn't throw carts up in the air. At best, maybe a cart could, if it's going fast enough, maybe the cart could slam into another cart and kind of partially mount it.
Yep.
But we're seeing Super 8 levels of the cart does a flip.
Yeah.
And then, the worst part, everyone's fine.
Yep.
They show 3 bodies maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ambiguously dead.
It's great because exactly what you're talking about is happening, where the train is going 35 miles an hour.
People are standing up in the train. It is a passenger train.
Right. And
that
the
is
car
going
it
40.
hits, because it hit a car, and the car, the normal ass
It
vehicle,
hits a car and the other train.
Yeah,
I'll get
it
there.
plows through
Yeah.
the car.
I'll get there. It hits a car. The car flies like a football field almost in the air relative to the car's size.
Yeah.
It flies so far up almost into space after hitting the front of a train, which
It
can't
does
even...
a front flip.
Right, because
No.
it's not as the front of a train isn't a ramp. Okay, it's not like fucking Dukes of Hazzard. He's flying into the air.
It's
It's just
going to be thrown to the side.
thrown to the side and crushed a little bit. That's how that works. And the entire train, when it is crashing, because it does hit another train, but when the train is crashing, you're right, each caboose segments and crushes into the following caboose, and it's like a big old accordion, like in Super 8.
The
film we
coaches.
watched.
Yeah, the coaches all just
Each coach just accordioned into itself, and it became this one big dumpster of what was it, a landfill full of garbage of just train parts, and everyone walks out and everyone's got salon hair and perfectly
A little
amazing...
bit of dust and soot on
Some
them.
people were standing without bracing themselves.
Yep.
Not knowing the train was about to crash.
No cuts, no bruises, no
Dude.
dings.
Have you ever been on a subway?
Yeah.
If you're not holding on to something when the train moves, you lurch.
Yep.
Yep.
Your whole body moves, no matter how stable you think you are. And that's a train going from 0 to maybe 5 or 10 off
Yeah.
the bat. The trains in Boston do not run that fast.
No, they don't.
So if you're going 40 miles an hour and suddenly you're not, you're going to sail.
Yep.
You're going to pick up and fly across that car, across that coach, and you're going to slam into the wall. More importantly, that train accident, so they stopped the train by putting a road flare down on the tracks.
Yep.
The freight train that's carrying all their equipment is clearly, even before they spot the road flare, going significantly slower than the passenger train.
was, yeah.
They're doing maybe 20, the passenger train's doing at least 40.
They eventually just catch up. Wow.
It would have happened anyways.
Yep.
No, because they were slowing that train down because
No,
The script said
before they see the flare.
the script said
So,
that train needed to be going slow.
When the accident happens,
Yeah.
Brad gets pinned under some equipment and starts bleeding out. And he's still there barking orders because he's a 1950s man and nothing phases him, even though he's actively dying. And then he needs a blood transfusion to keep himself alive because his heart's literally beating all of the blood out of his artery that's been ruptured.
Yep.
And the only person around who can do it is Sebastian. And this man, this fucking brat of a person, protests and says, I would literally rather die than have Sebastian's blood in me because he stole Holly from me. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, build a bridge and get over it, dude. You're going to die. Like, Buttons, who is a trained medical professional, tells you you're going to bleed out in 20 minutes if we don't get more blood in you. And the only person we know right now who has your blood type is Sebastian. And he's like, find somebody else. Fuck you.
Yep. This movie is 2.5 hours and I'm out of notes.
And, and like, what kind of fucking character arc is that? Because that's the end of Brad's character. He doesn't learn anything. And they don't like, he doesn't like get into a fist fight over it, but everyone has to be like, shut the fuck up, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there barking orders at everyone. He's like, the show must go on. And I'm like, dude, your entire performance cast just got into a train wreck.
Literally.
Even the ones who are fine need to go to the hospital.
Just in case?
Just in case, because they probably have whiplash. Because they just went from 40 miles an hour to 0.
Yeah.
Very
Whiplash,
quickly.
Maybe some internal injuries that we can't see.
Absolutely some internal injuries. And then they just performed the circus the next day. And I'm like, none of these people are rattled. Like, man, I
Yeah.
survived a train crash last night. Guess that's life in the circus. Go fuck yourself.
Absolutely fucking wild.
I
So,
cannot believe.
I'm going to talk. We're going to talk.
Yeah, we
I'm
are.
not just going to talk. Dude, the Holly, Sebastian, Angel love
Squad.
square
Rhombus.
is terrible. It's man and woman on screen. Second man and woman on screen. 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 That's the whole thing. Which one am I talking about? It doesn't matter because they're all fucking milk toast.
So, building off that, literally before Sebastian's introduced, they're all like, oh, hide the women from Sebastian because he's going to fuck them all. And all the women are like, ugh, Sebastian, he's going to fuck us all. And it's like, that's exactly how they treat
One of
it.
them literally basically says that.
Literally. And then he shows up, takes Holly's center ring position from her. And then he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know that's what happened. Let's bang.
Shetty.
Shetty. And then he's like, oh, I'll give it back to you. And Brad's like, no. And then Holly's like, I'll earn it then. And then Sebastian's like, oh, no, now we're rivals. And then they fuck.
They don't actually fuck.
They don't actually fuck because it's the 1950s and we don't do that here. But, like, it's so... The specifically Holly and Sebastian, which is one of the core duos of the film, because Brad and Angel does not happen until the end of the film.
And it's only for 2 seconds, and then it's Sebastian and Angel, I guess, question mark?
Yes, that is exactly what happens. But more importantly, the setup to Sebastian and Holly is such a fucking roller coaster, because it's like, oh, he's actually being nice to her. He probably wants to fuck her. Oh, they're rivals. Oh, she's really concerned that he's kind of a daredevil and he's pushing her to do crazy things herself. Oh, they're just in love and they're gonna fuck. Like,
I think my least favorite thing is when she goes, oh, Brad, you better marry me quicker. I'm gonna fuck Sebastian.
she literally says that to him. She's like, you better marry me quick or I'm gonna bang Sebastian. It's like, what kind of dynamic do these two have? Are they dating? Are they like, what the fuck?
I
Who the fuck are these people?
I don't, because we don't get any like initial with them. They just kind of start, and
They're flirty, and it's like, are they dating?
it's just not well portrayed.
It's exactly like An American in Paris, where like the relationship between the girl and the French guy is so poorly defined that it's like, is this cheating? Is it not? You can't have it be
But
cheating.
they're married.
They're engaged, but
Yeah.
like, what does that mean? Because like,
I think it means they're going to get married.
but what does that mean to them? Because clearly it doesn't mean anything, and it's like, good fucking.
What does that mean?
Lord.
Well, I think engaged means that he proposed and she said yes, but I'm not quite sure.
It's just so tough. And there's some weird angles in this film I didn't really bring up.
Man,
There's
I don't
one
like
shot.
all of it.
There's one shot where it's like the crowd cheering, but the camera's placed behind the lights, and like the lights take up 55% of the screen.
Dude.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's a lot of bad.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I can say that's like, oh, you know what this film did really well? Because it didn't.
I don't have anything I can say positively about this film. Even Buttons is like fine.
Such a non-factor.
He's such a non-factor. He's elevated because of how bad everything around him is. He doesn't.
You have a good point there.
Like, we don't even know his name by the end of the film.
Jim Henson.
No.
That's the guy who did the Muppets.
Yep.
James Stewart is the actor.
James Manson.
That
That's Charles Manson, but with James.
Please
I
stop
think
talking.
I think Charlton Heston did a good job because he's obviously a talented actor. Sebastian, no.
I love our enthusiasm when speaking about
So
this film.
I just have a couple quick things to get through as well
Sure.
before we move on to any other major topics. Brad, this film is dressed like Indiana Jones the entire time.
Dude, it is so comically funny. Mud, pull up a picture of Brad as Indiana Jones real quick. Because, like, dude,
The hat, the jacket,
He's
even a
indie.
button up.
he's indie.
He's Indiana.
And he looks like Harrison Ford, kinda.
A
young
little bit,
young
possibly.
Charlton Heston got that vibe to him.
A little bit. I can see it, but like dead ass, he's dressed just like
So
Indiana
funny.
Jones.
It's comedy gold.
And he's dressed like that for most of the film. Like
Yeah,
it never.
he even goes, "Where's my hat?" A classic Indiana Jones thing. Always with the fucking hat.
Like at the end of the movie, he's relaxing with his new Sebastian blood, and he has the hat on his head. And I was expecting him to tilt it down like Indy does when he rests.
Yup.
Like
I did too.
I really thought we were trying to see if like there was any notes like George Lucas pulled from The Greatest Show on Earth, his favorite film, to
If-
make Indiana Jones.
I would fully believe this is George Lucas's favorite film because the dialogue sucks.
It do suck. At the very beginning of their show run, a priest blesses the train. Fat lot of help that was.
Dude, it goes no. That just happens, much like things in this film do.
A priest literally shows up and is like, "Hello, Brad. We're here to bless the train." He's like, "Well, get on with it." And it's like, what? Is that a thing that happened in the 50s? Also, there's a montage of him blessing the train to make a point about how like long the train is, and the coaches are numbered. And it goes 48, and then there's a wipe, and he blesses coach 40, and then there's another wipe, and then he blesses coach 57.
And then I think there's a 47 after that too.
No, the caboose came after that.
Okay.
And my final note is, good fucking God, I hate the way that every ice cream cone is eaten in this film.
Yeah,
Because
even
all of the
adults.
kids are doing the thing where they just slam it into their face, and there's an ice cream beard of evil
Yep.
just ring on their
Goatee.
fucking nose, on their fucking cheeks, on their chin. And it's like, I have never in my life met a person, even a child, who eats ice cream like that.
Yeah. Listen, I like to just shove food in my face, man. Ian.
Yeah,
Do not eat like that.
not on,
Yes.
in your face.
In my face.
In the face hole.
If I accidentally get food on my mustache, I get upset.
Same. It's annoying to have food on your face, but like every fucking kid in this movie is portrayed as just having gross fucking ice cream on their mouth, and it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. If that was my kid, I would be handing them a tissue like, wipe your fucking face.
If that was my kid, I'd be leaving them at the circus.
Yeah. Like, dude, you can't eat like that. You gotta have reason
I
within your
know.
bites.
The amazing I eat like a fucking idiot boy. Good.
When Sebastian falls, they reuse the footage. You guys didn't see this because you were watching Batman and Robin, which is a better film.
No. Yo, no.
They reuse footage with Sebastian's trapeze work. So like he goes out, he does like a couple flips, grabs the bars and stuff, and then he goes back. It is the exact same footage.
It is.
Back to back.
I paid
Like-
attention to when he fell.
Okay. But like in the run up to it, like it's literally
Yeah.
the same footage of the same flips, the same one-handed
Yep.
swing. He even turns the exact same way.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Listen, it's cheaper.
It is
They
cheaper.
didn't even redo the take where the guy falls at the beginning and fucks up his trick.
Fuck that guy.
When was the last time y'all watched Batman and Robin?
Never,
Oh, I was a kid.
never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen it.
I'm double down. Batman
Chief.
Forever, Batman and Robin.
You gotta watch some Batman and Robin, my guy. You gotta get in there.
Mhm.
So now that I don't want to talk about this movie anymore and we don't have anything else to talk about,
Actually, there is a 1 out of 10, which is my score for the film.
I'm also thinking, one, this movie, I don't want to give it a 0 because there are things that actually like matter in it, I guess. Like I like the clown, and Charlton Heston does a good job, and the costume work isn't bad. But like, God, I wouldn't recommend this.
I can't think of one thing about this where I'd be like, yeah, you should check this out.
Can you imagine the pitch of this film?
No.
Yeah, so it's a really boring movie about the goddamn circus.
You don't start
It's a really boring movie about the goddamn circus, and then a fucking train wreck happens.
So
What?
Bud, if I'm gonna tell you right now, because I think all of us have aspirations here. Don't pitch your thing as it's a really boring film. I don't think
my
they'd
God.
want you to go do
It's a
that.
fucking-
You could lie
Shut
and
the
say
fuck-
this is the most brilliant thing.
It's the greatest show
It's
on
the
earth.
greatest show on earth.
Oh
They
my
said
goodness.
that name twice in the first 7 minutes, and I knew exactly what kind of film this was.
Yeah, fucking up its own ass.
Oh my God! Six
Mud,
Ways to
how's
Sunday.
your 1 out of 10?
That's generous. This is a 0.
Two investors
Nice.
like at lunch talking. Oh, so what are your projects? Well, this one guy has a really boring movie. I gave him all my money for it. I can't
Sign
wait
me
to
the
see.
fuck up.
Mud, I'm really close to where you are because the things that I like are only like 5 minutes of the movie.
Like maybe a 0.5 for buttons, but then that's giving the movie credit for literally anything. And
Yeah.
I can't do
I
that.
don't know. Lead guy, talented. You know how much I love Charlton Heston. Soylent Green slaps. Planet of the Apes slaps. Ben-Hur slaps. Like, we're gonna get to see him do really good in like 6 movies or some shit. 59?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
yep.
like we get to watch him be good soon. Better actually, because he was really good.
Yeah.
And Soylent Green should be up by this time. I don't fucking know. I'm gonna say it anyway. Suck my ass. Fucking, he was great in that movie.
Yep.
Planet of the Apes, top 10 film of all time, in my opinion.
He's great.
He's phenomenal.
He's
he
great.
does the laugh, bro.
He's great, but this film does him no justice.
No, but he's at least good. You know what I mean? Like, there are good actors in bad films that do good jobs in bad films.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 0.
All right, Mud. Lost Weekend's the best one. Hamlet is still the worst one.
Lost Weekend's the best one. Cavalcade's the worst one.
Gentleman's Agreement is the best one. The Greatest Show on Earth is the worst one.
Ooh.
And American in Paris was immediately bottomed.
That's amazing.
So,
The 50s have been great.
Yeah.
oh my God, well, one good movie. Ooh.
One, I will say it, one incredibly great movie.
Yeah, one good movie.
And then just dog shit afterwards.
Well, I gave an American Werewolf in Paris a 3. That's not that
That's
bad.
not a great
right?
movie.
That's not that
You gave
bad.
The Suicide Squad a 3.
Yeah, they're on equal terms.
There you go. So that's not a positive score.
That's not that bad.
Well, yeah, you're lying. Your mom's a liar.
You're lying.
And
That's
with
not
that,
true.
Liar.
we will join you guys next week for the 26th Best Picture, From Here to Eternity.
I almost said at eternity's gate
That
again.
title, by the way, is how long we're gonna do this fucking show for.
Apparently.
Dude, that title is how long this film felt like it lasted.
Yes, you never get involved, except you actually do all of the time.
It's true. The show's just been him getting involved.
Can't have anyone finding out who you actually are.
We can't have anyone figure out what you are. Where's this pendant?
Your grandmother slaughtered my family.
No, that's not true.
That's not true. Your mom's a liar.
That's not true. That's a lie. She's lying to you.
Man, if she's throwing up, how's the baby reacting to this?
Baby shit itself, unrelated to the events.
Before any of the attack happened.
Did it just kill itself?
Yes.
Yes, it did. Because she has that power, which she should have used earlier.